Good afternoon, Meerkat. Welcome, welcome. This is episode 85. 85 of The Nooner. What is The Nooner, you're asking? The Nooner is me. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, Pacific Standard Time. I'm popping in here 12 o'clock noon and dropping a new Bradley. And this is episode 85 of The Nooner, Noontime Nuggets about sales, business, and or life. I'm coming in here every weekday, Monday through Friday, and I'm going to be dropping some nuggets. Today we're going to be talking about fun facts from 1915, 100 years ago. My, oh my, how things have changed. So welcome. Thank you for everybody for being here. Appreciate the favors and the restreams in advance. Thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We've got 2 days left before 2016 gets started. What kind of plans you got? What's coming your way? So let's get this thing started. Let me just fade out on the music. So what are we talking about today? So this is The Nooner. Like I said, every weekday, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time, I'm coming in. I'm going to drop a little noontime nugget about sales, business, and or life. So thank you guys for being here. Today we're going to be looking at some fun facts from 1915, 100 years ago. How much life is different now, how much things have changed. There's some obvious stuff, but there's some pretty interesting subtle differences that I want to look at with you guys today. So let me introduce myself to you, tell you a little bit about who I am. For those of you just tuning in, if this is your first time watching The Nooner, my name is David Bradley. I am your host. And a couple things about me. Number one, I'm a sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. I've been working with Grant for the last 5 years. It'll be 5 years in March. This is Cardone Training Technologies. What we do is we work with companies and individuals alike to help find and then handle missed opportunity. This will usually result in a 15%, sometimes more, usually 30%, production increase. So where is opportunity for growth in your business, in your company? What are some challenges that your salespeople are struggling with every single day, those things that drive you nuts? We've got solutions for it. And the good news for you is 75% of what we do is 100% free. So if I can help you, feel free to reach out to me. 310-777-0352. That's my direct number. It was down for a couple of days, but we're back up and running now. You can also shoot an email out, david@grantcardone.com. It says, hey, Dave, I'm looking for more information on how to improve my business, increase production, profitability, and customer satisfaction. I can help with all three. A couple other things on me is I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. I smoked the cigarettes for about 15 years, could not quit to save my life. I tried many different ways to do it, but I couldn't quite figure it out. But instead of quitting, I found a way to stop. There is a difference. It starts up here, and that's what that book is about. So what's cool about this right now for you is if you know somebody, or if you're in this loop, if you've been trying to kick the habit and you just can't quite figure it out yet, and you're thinking about making this your New Year's resolution, this book will help, not just help you make the resolution, because anybody can make the resolution, but you got to keep it. Okay, so this will help you do that. Okay, third thing on me, I'm the founder of a hashtag called Rich Man's Gym. This is about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. I don't believe you got to go to the gym to get in the best shape of your life. You can do it right in the garage. You can do it down at the local park. You can do it at the beach, right? Backyard, you name it. Anywhere you can hang a set of Olympic rings or haul a kettlebell, that's your gym. Okay, and it's about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit, right? So there's a lot more to it than just looking good naked or liking what's coming back at you in the mirror. There's a lot more to it. This is about getting your mind right and using exercise as a tool to strengthen your mind and your spirit as well. Those three things are synergistic, I believe. So what are we talking about today on the Nooner? So if you're seeing the title and it raised an eyebrow and you're popping into the stream and you're like, hey, what's going on? So fun fact from 1915 that will blow your mind. Okay, so there's a couple things to think about. That was 100 years ago. How much has changed in the last 100 years? A lot, right? We're about to hit 2016. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to dig into some fun facts from 1915, 100 years ago, and just really do a comparison contrast. I found a list that's got to be at least maybe 50. But the purpose of this exercise that we're going to do today is I really want you to leave this stream thinking about what is possible, what we are capable of doing. Because in 1915, if I sat you down and told you that you would be able to do what we're doing right now on a smartphone, streaming with people all over the globe, live and communicating, not just on a telephone, which was pretty rare as it was at that point, but to be able to see people and interact and communicate, you'd probably have me committed. Okay, so how much has changed? So I'm just going to break down the list, and we'll sort of do some wows and some holy smokes. But look at everything we've done that's obvious, right? Television, phone, radio, right? We barely had radio in 1915, nowhere near the mass of it. Okay, we were able to record audio, and motion pictures were going, but look at what movies have done since 1915. Holy crap, right? So we got Men on the Moon, internet, like really good cars that right? So the first one, which I think is amazing. The average life expectancy for a man in 1915 was 47 years. Now, I don't know if that factors into the fact that we were engaged in World War I. I don't know if that factors in statistics from Civil War. But if you look at what has happened for us in terms of medicine, 47 years. That's like, on average, that's all you had. And we're still struggling with it, with making every moment count. It's 47 years. That is average lifespan. Okay. Now it's in the 70s or 80s. Okay. So that has a lot to do with how we've handled medicine. But let's just talk about those extra 40 years that we've gained. What are you doing with them? How are you living them? Because I think people in 1947, with the exception of, we've got better resistance now to some degree, but I think we were healthier back then. Definitely leaner, right? You walked more, you didn't drive so much, which brings me to the next thing, which is fuel for cars was sold in drugstores. You want a gas for your car, you had to go to the drugstore. Only 14% of the homes had a bathtub. So if you had a house, for every 100 houses, only 14 of them had a bathtub. Only 8% of the homes had a telephone. Can you imagine not having a phone in your house? Actually, I can again. See, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I haven't had a landline in years. Probably since the 90s. No, that's not true. I turned off my landline in 2004. Haven't had a landline since 2004. Maximum speed, so almost 10 years. Maximum speed limit in most cities was 10 miles an hour. Imagine that. Spending your day at 10 miles an hour. Holy crap. The tallest structure in the world was the Eiffel Tower. That's pretty, wow. How tall is that? Somebody want to look that up for me? Here, I'll do it. Eiffel Tower. (984 feet). That was the tallest structure in the world at that time, in 1915. 984 feet. Empire State Building came shortly thereafter, and that massive, okay? World Trade Centers Okay, there's that building in Dubai. There's the one that's over in Taiwan, I think, right? So we surpassed that. Here we go. Average U.S. wage in 1910, 22 cents an hour. 22 cents an hour was the average minimum wage. U.S. worker made between $200 and $400 a year. Average American made between $200 and $400 a year. That's nuts. A competent accountant could expect to make $2,000 a year. So that's the value of education right there. That's what it was worth back then. A dentist could make $2,500 a year. Wow. $2,500 if you're a dentist. A veterinarian could make between $15,000 and $4,000 annual. Again, okay. I don't even know if I could. I mean, that's just, people couldn't even do that in a month in this day and age. A mechanical engineer could make about $5,000 a year. Okay, so that's interesting because we're in the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so if you're an engineer and you know machinery and you can develop it and you can expand it, that's worth something. So far, that's the biggest thing. It's that a mechanical engineer made more than a doctor, dentist, right? More than 95% of all births took place at home. Now it's the exact opposite. They're all in the hospital. I mean, that's literally, that's a total flip. That's amazing. 90% of all doctors had no, you ready for this? Maybe you might want to sit down if you're not already. 90% of all doctors had no college education. Maybe that's why the average life expectancy for men was 47 years. 90% of all doctors had no college education. Instead, they attended so-called medical schools, many of which were condemned in the press and the government as substandard. It's a doctor. Okay, sugar cost 4 cents a pound. So if you wanted sugar, eggs were 14 cents for a dozen. 12 eggs, 14 cents. Coffee was 15 cents a pound. I like that. Let's bring that back. Most women only wash their hair once a month. So clearly my wife, as much as she's enamored with the Victorian era and history, probably couldn't hack it in 1915. And here's what they used. Borax or egg yolk for shampoo. Egg yolk. Huh, interesting. Canada passed a law that prohibited poor people from entering into their country for any reason. All right, Canada. Is that still in effect? Here we go. This is cool. 5 leading causes of death in 1915. Pneumonia, influenza, tuberculosis, diarrhea. The 3rd leading cause of death in 1915 was diarrhea. Heart disease and stroke. Pneumonia and influenza. Okay, so the flu, there was a big epidemic back then, right? Killed a lot of people. And we just didn't have the medicine to treat it, and consequently, nor do we have, it looks like the immune system might have been compromised. Tuberculosis. That's what got Doc Holliday. That's a respiratory disease. Diarrhea. Man, that's really interesting. Not the actual act of it, but the fact that that was the 3rd leading cause of death in 1915. I wonder why that is. The American flag had 45 stars. Wow. So in 100 years, we only added 5 states. We need to expand more, don't you think? Crossword puzzles, canned beer, and iced tea had not been invented yet. What do these people do for fun? Couldn't do crossword puzzles. Didn't have beer in a can. You had to drink your beer out of a bottle. And iced tea hadn't been invented yet. Wow. That's interesting to me. There wasn't a Mother's Day or a Father's Day. We didn't have a day dedicated to honor our mom and our dad in 1915. 2 out of every 10 adults could not read or write. I wonder how much that's changed. Do you think it's gotten better or worse? Right? You got to wonder. Only 6% of all Americans graduated from high school. Because they're working. Only 6% of all Americans graduated from high school. 6%. That's amazing to me. Here we go. Marijuana, heroin, and morphine were all available over the counter at local drugstores. Back then, pharmacists said heroin clears the complexion, gives buoyancy to the mind, regulates the stomach, bowels, and is, in fact, a perfect guardian of health. Also, it's addictive the first time you use it. Literally changes your brain chemistry and causes immediate addiction. Oh, we didn't know that then, but now we do. 18% of households had at least one full-time servant or domestic help. 6% of all Americans had graduate from high school, but 18% of households had at least one full-time servant or domestic help. And then what we say, mechanical engineers made $5,000 a year, which at that point was probably one of the highest paid professions. So what does this tell you about the value of education? Not necessarily a college education now in today's society, but no matter what era of history we're in, the more educated you are, the more you make. The last one. Here's the last one, okay? There were about 230 reported murders in the entire United States. $230 people got whacked in 1915 across the country. Let's compare. Murder capital of the U.S. Detroit, murder rate 23 here. Top 30 murder rate cities in U.S. Come on, give me a pop up. All right, which one have you heard? What was your favorite? Which one blew you away? I'll tell you what mine is in just a minute. Wow, in 1990, New York City had more than 2,000 homicides. By 2014, that number is just down to over 300. Okay, so just look at New York. In 2014, it was 300. That's more than the entire nation in 1915. Now, it does say reported, so you got to wonder, how many people disappeared? Right? Oh, I missed one. The population of Las Vegas, Nevada in 1915, 30 people. 30. A little bit's changed. Thank you, Mr. Siegel. Thank you very much. I'll tell you which one I thought was the most interesting to me. I keep coming back to this mechanical engineer. If you'd asked me what profession made the most money in 1915, I don't know if I'd have gone with mechanical engineer. I don't think that was like, you had people in 1915, you had the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, and you had some people that were loaded. Vanderbilts, right? Bank. But they got that from, and that was all industry, mind you. Textile, steel, coal, right? But the middle class, if there was such a thing back then, or the closest thing to it, man, if you knew machines, if you knew machinery, you know, that was the value. To me, that's fascinating. Okay, what was your favorite? What did you hear about, or which one stuck out? This thing about heroin's pretty funny, but here's the moral of the story. Think about 100 years from now. What has happened for us over the last 100? Okay, life expectancy's up. We all got bathtubs, right? Only 14% had a home. Everybody's got a phone. Okay, not only do we have one in the house, we got one with us, and now we're actually streaming live over the internet, which didn't even exist. Look at everything that changed in the last 100 years. Gas was sold only in drugstores. Now there's gas stations all over the place. There's cars all over the place. It doesn't give the stat of how many cars were on the road back then, but that was a budding industry. Look what it's done. Look at the evolution of the automobile in 100 years. So imagine just that alone. What do you think we're going to be at 100? 2015, 2115, 2115? I hope I'm here, right? If we're following this path of life expectancy, that's possible, okay? I didn't mention this, but it is my birthday. So, and I was born in 1972. Deepak says we should be able to make it to 120. Moses made it like into the 800s, right? So 2092. If I make it to 120, I'm checking out in 2092. That'd be sweet. Wouldn't it? I'd love to see what this is going to look like in another 100 years. It'd be amazing to me. So, tweet to me, at David R. Bradley, what your favorite one was. If you would like this list, so you can have this conversation with your friends, send an email out to david@grantcardone.com, and I'm happy to send you this list. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm probably going to do some kind of 2015 wrap-up. Maybe I'll talk about my favorite nooner for 2015. I don't know. But thank you for being here. Let me give a couple shout-outs. Landing Point, appreciate you popping in, hanging out with me today. Jonathan, nice to see you. Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for tuning into the Nooner. This has been episode 85. If you missed any one of these and you want to get caught up, run over to youtube.com/Cardone Solutions. There's a playlist over there called The Nooner. This has been episode 85. Fun fact from 1915 that will blow your mind. Tweet out to me the one that blew your mind. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to wrap up 2015 right. Be great. Nothing else pays.